Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. We're back again with you as the week begins with another of our program on target. Remember, on these programs, we do never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues. We have a war raging in Europe, and perhaps more than ever, is likely to become the Third World War. United States of America seems to be threatening, intending to, want to, give an indication that they may pull out of NATO. Under Donald Trump, he always believed that America don't have to be world police. Some people have been chastising America for being world police. But Donald Trump is kind of brash, kind of uncompromising. If you have agreement with friendly nations, then you should discuss it under the table or below the table or in private. It's an agreement. You ought not to unilaterally break those agreements. Europe is fighting back. Canada is fighting back. In addition to that, you had over the weekend, a couple of days, you had this situation with Zelensky and Trump in the Oval Office. Perhaps one of the worst diplomatic blunders in history. Turkey has made the voice more powerful now, asking Russia to get out of Ukraine. And if United States pull out 100,000 people from Europe and walk away from NATO, then maybe Russia might be tempted to attack NATO move. Why do I say all these things? Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean receive assistance from Europe and America. And that assistance could dry up. Trump has already suspended one of the powerful organizations, I can't remember the name now, that have been investing in the Caribbean. I'm not against that. In addition to that, Canada and other countries could turn their resources away from the Caribbean as they try to invest in their own security and Ukraine. While all that is going on, in my opinion, we have a government that is behaving as an economic ignoramus. Some of the actions that are taken seems to be counter-responsible economics. They open the door wide for corruption. They flaunt the law that legislates discipline. Yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, they flaunt the law that legislates discipline, and we ought to be a concern. This is a hostile environment in the world today, and war seems to be at the doorstep. We in Grenada talking about the environment. The greatest threat to the environment is nuclear war. The greatest threat to the survival of mankind is not the environment, it's nuclear war. They have enough stockpile of nuclear war to destroy the world 2.5 times. In fact, most military pundits put it, there'll be no winners, but only survivors. There'll be no winners, but only survivors. And the Caribbean is not immune. We don't know if there are nuclear warships in Caribbean waters. None of us in the Caribbean have the technology to do that. The Caribbean mouth is silent in terms of advocating for peace. I believe the Caribbean and Africa should be the strongest voices in the world calling for peace. None of them have nuclear war. Instead, all of them pick up their sword and they're taking sides. Most in the Caribbean back the Russians. Most of the African countries back the Russians. Europe generally back Ukraine. Ukraine is an independent sovereign country, and no imperial power have the right to invade a sovereign country just because you could beat them. And because we in the Caribbean and Africa are independent sovereign countries, we are telling the imperial power, you could invade us too. And you could pick up the telephone and give me a call. I've been talking quite a lot. The number to call is 442-0175. We are 91.9, 91.5. We on Brooklyn, We Noise Radio in Brooklyn, New York, 94.9. We on YouTube. We encourage you to share us, like the program, subscribe, and speak. Our democracy we must guard jealously. There are a lot of countries in the world do not have democracy. In the United States, you could condemn Trump. You could call him all kind of name. Trump fine back. You cannot do that in Russia. Putin either poison you or he send you in Siberia. You cannot do that in China, in Iran, in a number of countries in the world. You don't have freedom of the press. You don't have any semblance of independence. That's why we in Grenada, who have had experience with the coup d'etat and the experiment, must be cautious. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Well, I'm going to face the new ball today.
That is good.
Yes. Mr. Pierre, I want Grenadians to hear I always advocate for my people. I care about children and grandchildren and our future. When I get problems, I always share it. Mr. Pierre, we have a serious leadership crisis in this country. We have a leader handling this country who don't understand his role, who don't understand his purpose. I'm sure there are others who heard him. I don't care about the rally. I don't spare. I don't spread anything about them. But this is very important for people to note. This Prime Minister is demonstrating clearly that he is a Prime Minister for members of the National Democratic Congress and not Prime Minister for the whole of Grenada. This is the most funny thing I ever see in my political life. I heard the Prime Minister of my own
Cut off caller.
Yes.
Go ahead.
He said to his supporters, look for all your people. Look for all members of the party. Look for them where they are. So if you don't do that, we go end up giving things first to the people on the other side. He didn't call any other political party name, but it's obvious. He's talking about the opposition or something. He said, know your people. So when there is something, you give your people. I said, what? That coming from the head? Victimization coming from the head? Where are we going? And you have people clap that. I fight. Right now I fight. Because the leader should be for everyone, whether green, whether yellow, whether what. A prime minister should say, share the food across the nation. But he's saying, give his people first if there is food. And I have no apologies. And I will continue to attack this statement for the balance of the week. Thank you for now, sir. Thank you.
Yes, scholar. I think NNP was a bit lazy. I've been saying that for the last 2 years. the Prime Minister introduced restorative justice. And I asked the question, why? After 1983, because Maurice Bishop in the coup d'etat in 4.5 years supervised over the worst crimes in Grenada after slavery and colonialism, there might have been some justification for people asking for restorative justice. Post 1983, immediately after that, a number of people exact judgment on the so-called Codites, the individuals who they claim were not Bishopites. I saw some of them being slapped up in the street. People spat upon others, mash up the vehicles and other personal things that they had. Some people intervene and say, no, we are all Grenadians. And then the government later on established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You have 2 publications came out from it. As a means of bringing a peaceful end to vengeance in the country. And both parties accommodated individuals that was branded as the Bishopites and the Codites in the country. And for many years, Grenadians was living with one another with a brother and sister. Even those who pung out the toenails of policemen, they were exchanging pleasantries with the very people. Because the policy of the government then was to forgive. I don't know if you remember when the first batch of students came back from studying. Mary Shaw and Dr. Johnson and them was in the group. The government of Grenada then did not want to employ them. The government of Grenada did not want to employ them. And some individuals, including Kit Mitchell, I didn't hear it from Kit, but I heard it from them, advocated on their behalf. So there was a number of voices in Grenada trying to avoid vengeance. So I had difficulties. I was disappointed. I was surprised that Deacon Mitchell propagated political vengeance. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
I am the voice for St. Andrew Northeast because St. Andrew Northeast don't have a voice. So I am the voice for St. Andrew Northeast. I am calling the government because over 20 years now we have a pasture in pause. We the senior citizens, we don't even have a seat there to sit down when we go to watch a little march or a little, whatever transpiring there. So I'm calling on the government to give us a little seat there. Imagine if they have 10 seats in Parliament. So if they can put a little breaches there for us, give us a seat in what they have there. Okay, give us number 10. Because, Mr. Pierre, no, I'm not getting personal with the government or personal with Tessa. I'm going to criticize them constructively. Because you see, the thing about it now is only one set of people that enjoying the kangaroo people in a circle. And a matter of fact, let me give the Prime Minister, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. He's not honorable about him, but I will call him the Honorable because of his office. I respect his office, respectfully. Let me give you all the advice. I don't like to give you all the advice, so I'll give you all the advice. Don't run Tessa next election. Tessa, she don't pass the test. I test her. She don't pass the test. Tessa is not people-oriented in politics. Politics is about people, I'll tell you something, Coming up for last election, you didn't have nothing like NMP and NDC, Kate Lewis assists all the farmers. You could ask them guys those guys who farming on the side of Paul's Strip. She meet every one requirement coming up for her tenure. So politics is about people and inclusion. This kind of arrogant thing with Tessa don't get personal with you. You in the political arena and you have to take hit. I'm constructively criticizing you. If you can't take it, get out of the hit. get out of the kitchen if you can't take the heat. Have a blessed day, sir.
Yes. So you see, when Deacon introduced restorative justice, I said repeatedly, when I watched the implementation, and I used Maurice Bishop term for the revolutionaries, the workability, the application on the ground, that was political vengeance and victimization. And I repeatedly and constantly called for the justification of it. Then I heard militant NDC members on the ground. Some of them call on programs and say, let them starve. Let them pound stone in the river. As NDC got rid of scores of people, 31 from Grand Bay Estate, a number of people who work between 3 and 19 years. And I took that quotation from the government, from the union. That was a statement made by the union. Lost the job. Perhaps over 3,000 people lost the job. It was totally unnecessary. And it was people from the lower income group. You saw Deacon go after the elderly, the physically challenged. Even disadvantaged children wasn't spared. I heard the voice of Shirley Robinson repeatedly calling, and others. And I asked, well, what kind of government is that? That is exacting judgment from the people in the lowest income group. What you expect? This is the NDC. They believe that they're in a privileged group. That is why they consider people as classless. Very demeaning and fractious language used to describe people. When you do that, you're going to have people taking the law in their own hands. When something happens to people, you're going to see they want to exact their own justice, because that becomes the policy of the government. I scream out relentlessly because I saw the direction that the teachers' union was going. And that is always my greatest fear, the schoolhouse. Because if the teachers don't object, and they have not been doing that, to that policy, then they may well embrace it in the schoolhouse. And some people, children, will bear the brunt of the consequences. Already, the productivity level in school is unacceptably low. And it doesn't bother anybody, because some of the hierarchy children doing well. Or some of the hierarchy children, the parents so ashamed that they're not doing well, they ain't saying one word. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. P. For your
Yes,
weekend.
great man.
Yeah, Mr. P, when you look and you see what is going on in our country with this government headed by the Prime Minister, it gave the, the blessing for corruption to be a policy of his government, right? And when you have a father in a home blessing corruption, right? What will happen? The children around him, they will continue to move, they'll get more corrupt and more corrupted. Because when you look at this government again, Mr. Pierre, it's a tricksters, right? I will put on a show, but in that show they put on, they will come and tell you a set of lies about what NMP do not, right? But it is clear to see, and you can know that the achievement of NNP in governance, and I will be outlining some of the achievements to you, Sir Pierre, of NNP while in governance. But after they lie to you, you know what they will do? They come put on a show, as a show. So now you will forget the lies and focus on the show. But I call upon the people. You know what is know people that come around asking to vote for them. And when you vote for them, they do nothing for you. And they only do it for themselves and the friend. So instead they help you to develop your lifestyle. They take away from you to help themselves and they forget you. And now they're coming back around now, lying to you again. What I want to say, let you all, we, the people of Greater Caribbean and Peter Martinique, you have to know your history. Know that the people that you give your blessing, look, remember what they are doing to you. Yes, they come around and they tell you lies. You have to learn from a mistake and don't continue to repeat the mistake that you made before. And what some of the lies that they tell to you, with the people of Greater Caribbean and Peter Martinique, is that NMP do nothing, and they know Mr. Pierre, NMP did a lot. And some of the things that NMP do in governance, the development of the ministries, if we really put all the ministries under one head in the botanical garden. So when you know when you come in town to do our business, and you have to go to different ministry, you take the whole day and you don't get through what you came to do. But putting the ministry in one compound, it make your traveling easier and make it so you're able to get along with what you do and what you do. Look at the National Stadium, the Cricket Stadium, and the Athletic Stadium. Look at the bus terminal, the cruise ship. Look at that again. Look at the transformation of the rural area with electricity, water, pipe and water to people home. Look at that again. The road network for farmers. Because a lot of farmers up here was they were ripping when they went to rip the crop, the problem now how to get it done to be to sell to who they have to sell it for. But the government built farm roads so the farmers could be able to rip the crop and go and sell it because they have good road. Education again, education. You have the telephone company, and when you look again for information and friendly, the government is friendly to if to the information the government. Look at many radio stations up here that was set up to give news, to give the information what is going on in the country. But
Yeah.
this government right now, they only want people to believe the lies and the lies they continue to do. Well, I want to let you the people go to be the Martinic. If you want to go forward, you have to know the truth. You have to know the truth because staying and listen to the lies, you cannot go forward.
Yeah.
You cannot go forward. So, Mr. Pierre, that's what I have to say.
When the Prime Minister of Grenada, when Dick Mitchell said that nothing has not been done in the country since 1983, there should be an uproar, particularly by NNP supporters, rank and file. Yes, scholar, welcome. We don't have that color. There should be an uproar because it's either Deacon was not living in Grenada or he was extremely malicious to make a statement like that. But even strong NNP supporters was fumbling. And that is when, as a political party, you must never take things for granted. You must inform your people. And that is why we spend so much time on people spending time pointing out what was done rather than what should be done in the future. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I just want to make a comment in particular to the, the rally of the NDC yesterday. Yes. So we in the diaspora have seen it online, and there was a lot of yellow jerseys and yellow. But you know, as a Grenadian, we always when coming from for crowd are just crowd. Crowd have nothing to do with whether or not those persons are actually supporters of the NDC what? This is where the soup is pouring. So you put your mouth where it is. So I'm not too worried when I saw all the crowd. I'm not too concerned about the crowd, whether those crowd belongs to who or what. The crowd in Grenada are very transient. People transfer from one to the next. They put on their clothes. They go and they go. So I don't think people should be rejoicing about the numbers and the NDC is on his way for next 5 terms. Listen, we know what that crowd is about, right? There are inducement to get there. So people put on a jersey, whether you're a public officer or not. Very difficult to define whether or not persons are public servants there. But we understand that. But at the end of the day, the issue of voting and party support, that have nothing to do with the crowd. That have nothing to do with the crowd. So I am not too worried about that crowd, but it was an impressive crowd. That's the fact. Right? My concern is about the government continue to expand the public service. Like an inflated public service. I understand they created a next ministry again. I mean, no, I thought we want a smaller public service that is more efficient, not an enlarged public sector that's controlled by the state. I find it very strange. So when I saw the crowd and I listened to the Prime Minister's comment, I asked myself, what is the unemployment rate? What is the cost of flour and sugar? When I go to the hospital, do I get the medication and see a doctor within a short space of time? What happened to the health, this agency that the government say they want to set up? So crowd is nothing. Is nothing. Is what is the actual performance of the government with respect to making your lives better? Food, clothing, and healthcare. That is my concern. I wait for the budget that hopefully will be read by the Prime Minister. And I suspect there'll be a lot of fat and statement, but at the end of it, people's mouth will be open and the cost of living going to continue to increase. And healthcare going to go down to the drain.
Yeah.
So I think I suspect that will happen. So that rally look good on paper. But at the end of the day, don't worry too much about that.
Yeah.
It's where the soup is pouring now.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
I think the success of the NDC conventional rally was very important for the political psychic of the party. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, how you doing?
Great, man.
Mr. Pierre, the brother was talking and he talked about the public service, how large is the government. And that is only if he had good intention. The first thing we would have to do, look into what is happening there. You want to give yourself a raise the POS ministers. And what you would have do, all them big limo and all them things they're driving around with, you would have get rid of that. You would have invest not in agriculture. You would have did that. Mr. Pierre, anyhow, what we have to be scared about with this government, how they call Baby Doc in Haiti, what was his It's people who are surrounding him. How you call them? What? The tom-tom? How you call them?
Tonton Makut.
Oh, boy. Mr. Pierre, one more term in Grenada. And you see this government there? You see the surrogates? You see the people and who surrounding them? They will start with locking up people like you. And after that, they will start getting physical with people who oppose the government. Around that time, they will get enough time to put things in place that you can go back to the ballot. And then they will have the gangs out there beating people possibility. We might have a few murders in Grenada too. It's very threatening with these people inside the Mr. Look, Mr. Pierre, we have to look at the long term effect that could be happening in Grenada with who inside it. Anyhow, hold it down, my brother.
Yes, as I say again, it's very important for the NDC political psychic to have a good turnout. And they had a good turnout, and that is very important for them. If they didn't have a good turnout this morning, NNP jumping up and say the turnout was good. Both political parties could bring out a crowd. Both political parties have about 15,000, 20,000 people solidly supporting them. Yes, caller, welcome.
Sir Pierre,
Yes, caller, welcome.
I listen to your program. And all the callers could think about is wishing bad for Grenada. You know.
Caller, which caller that nobody wish bad
They
for
were
Grenada?
but they were the impression they're giving people.
So you believe every time somebody criticizes NDC, they wish bad for Grenada?
They're not criticizing.
Caller, do you believe?
The man talk about
Well, what he's saying is, caller, you heard me speak. Caller, once Deacon introduced restorative justice, he's encouraging violence.
What is restorative justice?
Ask Deacon, because if I tell you, you won't believe me.
Tell me why.
I've been trying to explain.
Tell me what it is, Mr. Pierre. I don't know.
I've been trying to explain that to you 2 years. And you don't,
I don't understand.
Hear me out now. Hear me out.
Sir Pierre, listen. I listen to the program from the morning time. And the impression I'm getting is that your callers hate Grenada. You talk about how NDC people getting things. And when the government introduced a free meal in school for children, 10,000 children getting it. Oh God, Mr. Pierre. It's not NNP people, not NDC people are not getting it. NNP people getting it too. When they introduce the free scholarship, the free tuition at Tamsisi and Lolo and everything. It's not everybody. Oh God, Pierre. How are you so wicked? Mr. Pierre, is every Grenadian were qualified to do it, them getting it, Mr. Pierre. Think about that. Mr. Pierre, I live in this country before this government coming for. And MLP and the NNP, them is the most wicked set of people ever passing the year. Mr. Pierre, these people and them have $500 million there. They say they have it in the treasury. My God. Them poor pensioners, they walk the street, they drag on the ground, begging MLP for dollars to give them people. They never give them. Today they come and say that they had 500 million. They have taken and stock it. That's why they lose the election. That's why I tell you, Mr. Pierre, fools make money, but it's wise man to spend it. And that's what's going on there today. Mr. Pierre, if MEP says she like women, Mr. Pierre, MEP take talk salary from all the women teachers. The majority of teachers in the school is women. You know the woman had the guts to take on money in the salary because they're begging for a pension. How this woman is so wicked? I think I'm going to tell people she's like, man, this woman is a wicked woman. You have a good day.
Thank you, caller. And caller, I'll just hold on with call for 2 minutes. I want you to go back and listen to this program. Go back and listen to the program and listen to the comments you make. You're always accusing people of being wicked and etc. and they don't like good for Grenada. Listen to the comments that you make. And the comments that you make is as a direct reflection of NDC policies. where some of the supporters are calling on radio and saying, let them starve, let them pound stone in the river. Where some of the top members of NDC, like Deacon Mitchell, consider people as classless and beggy, and needy and greedy, and good people and bad people, and lunatics and idiots, and commoners. And because these utterances, these statements, these expressions come from the leadership of the NDC, then it's members like you and other militant members, because maybe the word classless and commoners are not the everyday use of the ordinary man. So you start to say how they wicked and that they starve. And you're saying things that is not true. I'll let you say it. Because Emmeline Pierre must not have a thin skin. She must prepare to take criticism. She must prepare to emulate people like Roland Bola and Gregory Bowen and Keith Mitchell. So not because you say things about Emmeline Pierre that is not true, she's not supposed to introduce restorative justice. Deacon had no axe to grind. Grenadians voted him. He was new to politics. And all the members was new. Whether we were wise in that decision or not, maybe they tired about the bickering and they wanted new people that did not have axe to grind. And this happened to be the worst group of political neophytes that ever passed in the country. Deacon and his group is well qualified to be considered as vultures because they prey on the weak, the elderly, the physically challenged, disadvantaged children, those they tell lies to. And we have a prime minister that's telling more lie than any other leader in history. Yet, so I encourage you, go back, and I do that sometimes. I go back and listen to my program sometimes. If I'm challenged anytime, I go back and listen to it. I want you to go back and listen to the program and what you say. Yes, caller, welcome.
I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness. Good to see you.
Yes, my brother.
What's so classical about the NDC crowd? What's so classical?
But it's good for the psychic, to have a big crowd.
Good for
very,
the
very
psychic.
good for them.
If they understand the depth for the word psychic. But what's so classical about the NDC crowd? Does Deacon Mitchell deserve the crowd? What's so classical about the crowd?
But as a political...
When you have no medication in your hospital, Deacon Mitchell, when people cannot get a bandage to dress their foot in the hospital, what's so classical about your crowd? What's so classical about your crowd, sir? So many of our hard-working people in Carriacou and Pitimatnik are struggling to receive their paycheck. The estate workers are crying out, sir, that it has not received the paycheck weeks and weeks now. Pastor Louis is speaking. And you could ask the question. If you don't know, I want somebody who wants it to call and said, no, you lie, all of us get with money. What's so classical about the big crowds, sir? Is it fair that the estate workers that is so poor, hand to mouth, cannot get the salary, sir, while you pay bosses thousands and thousands of dollars for them to come to see you? What's so classical about the crowd? What's so classical about the crowd? When our poor children in school cannot receive a Mr. Deacon Mitchell, what's so classical about your crowd? What's so classical about your crowd when the cost of living is sky high? The cost of water, you increase the price. The cost of sugar, you increase the price. The cost of medication, even though we can't get it, you increase the price. The cost of electricity, you increase the price. What's so classical about your crowd, sir? What's so classical about your crowd when so many of our young people in Grenada, Carriacou, Pitimatic are stressed out? What's so classical about your crowd, sir? About your crowd when months and months you cannot present a budget to the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatic? What's so classical about your crowd? What's so classical about your crowd when you meet millions and millions and millions of dollars in our treasury? You squander that money. What's so classical about your crowd? What's so classical about your crowd when the people of Carriacou and Pitimatic still suffering under tent like refugees and they cannot have a roof over their head, but you pay thousands of dollars to print your yellow t-shirt to look at you as a king? Shame. And you deacon, back off. I rest my case.
Yes.
And I vex.
No, you don't need to get angry. In this politics, people have to try and avoid getting too emotional and getting too angry, and let's discuss the issue. The NDC crowd is important. It's very important for the political psychic of the people. And perhaps it comes to the reality that there is a lot of people in Grenada that agrees with what Deacon does. And that even perhaps even would sadden some of us heart more, because it means people agree. You have a caller? Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller.
Mr. Pierre, the caller before the pastor, I think you should take some drastic action against that caller. When I say in that this caller has been calling the program on many occasions with a lot of unfounded information. It's not true. And to sit down and listen to him saying all these things that is not true, you as the host of the program, you should take some action against him. Let him know that when he called the program, he should come with the truth, information that people would learn, gather something from. He just came on the program there and rant and rave. And after he finished, you acknowledging to him that what he said, it is untrue. So if what he's saying is untrue, why allow him to carry on the program like that? And this is not the first, second, or third time he's doing it. A stop must be put to him. I mean, come on, you can't. The thing about if he's been paid, that is my opinion. I am saying it. If it is being paid to do that, the people that is paying him is more worse and wicked than him. Because you don't do that. Every time he come on the program, he is making statements that is not true. And when you call on him and ask him to clarify, to verify it, he divert to something else. And then the thing about it is that he start the manner in which he start. He can't even finish a sentence or make a proper phrase. I mean, come on, we need better than that. We're not saying that he cannot call the program. We're not saying that no, he cannot call the program. But when he calls the program, Mr. Pierre, he must come with constructive. Every day is the same thing for me. And I'm going to tell you that, Mr. P. There are people who used to listen to the program and because of this guy, they stop. I'm telling you that. People used to listen to the program and because of this guy, they stop. Because this kind of nonsense is coming with on the program, they can't waste time to listen to him. So that's it. You are the host, Mr. Pierre. I can tell you what to know, what to do. I'm only suggesting. This guy need a stop and he need a stop. Have a good evening.
The level of intolerance I see in this country frightens me. The level of intolerance I see. And I don't want politicians to be that intolerant. The NNP has been a very tolerant government. They have been very inclusive, very forgiving, very all-encompassing. And I think the members should follow the lead of the leadership. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, everybody, a lot of people talking about the code. I just, before, all the time I was be excited about the code. When I see how NMPD fully pause their strip, I say, yes, NMP come back and lose the election. And since from that time, I say, see me, not me and no crowd thing, the crowd is just to excite people. Because if crowd is winning election, NMPD win election and pause strip something the last election. So I don't really book on that. But you go back and forth. I agree with the caller I just called it. So if you a man so I say something and know it is untruth, at least stop them in the track, you know, because you say your program is about truth and we know your program is about truth. So if you say something wrong, just tell him now. Get the facts and come back. That's not you, but as you say, you are allowing him to speedy lies and you know the process one of it. When people hear that, some people will believe what he say, and he in his heart know this is not true. So I feel when nobody stop him from talking. You see, talking to him untruth, you have to stop him in the track. You can't let him go ahead and as you say afterwards you're talking about that. You know? I know that program is busted already, and we have to be firm to what to do. So take him up there, go there.
Yes, caller. Have a caller on the line? Yes, I tend to be tolerant to a lot of callers. I'm not as tolerant to Deacon Mitchell. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre?
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yes, yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just speaking there now. There is a demonstration in town.
What are you demonstrating for?
As I don't know. I see people in red jersey and black pants and a set of flags in the air. I'm sitting from the post office.
Some union must be having some industrial action.
So
Yeah.
just let me know.
Yeah.
All right.
You see, I take a lot of issue with what Deacon say, what the ministers say of government. I think people seems to be very comfortable with Deacon lies. And I watch Deacon with contempt. Because if you is the prime minister of a country and you blatantly and openly lying for people, deceiving people, and people seem to accept Deacon lies. And these individuals are propagating what Deacon said. You find Deacon and the ministers just openly lying. They're traveling excessively. Now, how do you explain that this country didn't go in an uproar because Deacon flaunt the laws of the GDP Bank and raid the bank? How do you explain that? Yes, caller.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, I'm seconding the two callers that called just now. We cannot listen to this man talking about all the lies that happening. When somebody lying, you have to stop them and correct them. And if you don't correct them, they go ahead spreading the lie more. And we cannot listen to your radio and a man telling and bringing down a woman, bringing down somebody high in society. So you need now to cut him off when you tell him, no, you're lying, and just cut him off and let him stop it.
Thank you,
because
caller.
your station making a lot. I learning from your station. I learn a lot from you. So you need to do something now.
Thank
you. Have a blessed afternoon.
Yes, the challenge on our program, we try to give people an opportunity to express themselves. And somebody might call and say something, and another person call back. And if you have the information, you take issue with it, you challenge it. You know, you could easily offer justification or reasons why this statement is not true. It's like a little debate going on. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Yeah, welcome.
What I would say is, when the gentleman called and you see the trend he's taking, you must know whether he start to lie. You don't have to cut him off. It depends on what he's saying. You just tell him, well, this is no truth in it, and you take on something else. Yeah, because you know definitely is lie. What I call to tell you quickly, I just get a call that Grand Letter is demonstrating against the government in town. So I don't know if you will get some more information. If anybody else have more, yeah. They said them Grand Letter take the street. I don't know. against the administration. So you might get some more later.
Yes, caller. Thank you. Yeah, we will take one more call. So the last caller have anybody call next would be the last caller. We have to prepare to able to defend our tough. NNP, you have to be prepared to defend your tough. I told you repeatedly that the NDC go in the lab and make lies. And I pointed out over 30-something lies that the NDC have made. I find that when the government accepted gifts and did not retire those gifts to the Integrity Commission, there should be an uproar in the country. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello.
And caller, you're the last caller for the day.
Yeah.
Punch.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. I've been listening to you for the longest while. That's the first time I've been calling.
Thank you very much.
And this guy, I can't take on this guy. This guy gonna make me stop listening to you. Your program is a very educated program. I love your program, but come on, you gotta put some form of control with this guy. I understand you let people call to express their views and everything, but this man, no. So you gotta do something to that man.
Yes.
Anyway, you have a blessed day. I love your program anyway.
Thank you,
All right?
caller. Yeah, we try to give people an opportunity to express themselves. We have a new leader leading NNP. She has been around in politics for 20 years. I think it's about 20 years, over 20 years she's been in politics. She seems to be pretty tolerant. I have not heard her name into any disrepute. And she seems quite capable to defend herself. Dr. Kit Mitchell is perhaps one of the most criticized individuals in Grenada. Yet he was one of the most successful politicians, one of the most democratic politician leader in Grenada. And I tell you why. When his party seems to have internal problem, he seek new mandate. And that is important. When Tillman Thomas' party seems to have had problem, he prorogued parliament. When Mr. Blaze's party seems to have had problem, he prorogued parliament. When Kit Mitchell's party seems to have had problem, he went back to the polls. And that is what democracy is all about. And Kit Mitchell was the one, under his leadership, that freed up the telecommunication network that gives us an opportunity to speak. And he never tried to suppress those who was on radio spitting brimstone and fire for 10 years. They call him Morocco, they call ministers Damas, is what they do see. The worst thing we could do is to encourage Emmeline Pierre to have a thin skin. Her skin must not be thin. She must follow in the footsteps of Gregory Bowen, Kit Mitchell, and Roland Bowler. Thick skin. And she must not be vindictive. Not because NDC are vultures and poor people terrorists. Doesn't mean that Emmeline Pierre must be that. And you must tolerate some level of criticism for Emmeline Pierre. I want to say, you upset, you may be uncomfortable that I have tolerated this individual. And I've said to him, try to speak to the truth. But how do we tolerate Deacon Mitchell accepting expensive gifts, he and his team, from individuals and companies? That is bribery. He did not retire to the Integrity Commission. How do we tolerate Deacon Mitchell flaunting the law of the GDB Bank, the regulation, and raiding the bank? Millions of dollars was taken from the bank in the form of loan from ministers of the government, directors of the board, and other family members. If that is not wrong, then my God, tell me what it is. How do we tolerate Dick Mitchell and several of the top echelons of the NDC being agents in the CBI program? How do we tolerate Mr. Forrester? He is an ambassador, a job he is qualified to hold. But he cannot be an ambassador and at the same time a political mouthpiece for NDC. How do we tolerate the NDC introducing restorative justice? How do we do that? And worst of all, how do you tolerate the promotion of classism in our country? You're looking for violence. You're preaching hate. If you believe that River Road and Dabo people is classless, what's about the people of Pauls and Montreat and River Sally and Moncton and Byland? If the Prime Minister believes these people are classless and commoners and beggy and lunatics and idiots and good people and bad people, how do we tolerate that? How do we stomach that a third party is directing Grenada foreign affairs? How do you stomach that? I want somebody to tell me, how do you stomach Deacon Mitchell have a sugar daddy? Deacon have a rich man gallivanting around the place with, and he have a cameraman snapping picture. And it seems and it appears that they are spying on the women in Parliament. How do you tolerate that? How do you tolerate the Jones that is intimidating Jenny Simon? I think these things are greater things to speak about than one NDC practicing to lie on the program. How do you tolerate Jones intimidating Jenny Simon? I'm not speaking about the other methods they use for order. How do you tolerate in Grenada threatening to close down Real FM and jail personalities? Remember, the people that are saying that are known mouthpiece of the NDC. And they claim they have information 2 weeks before the public. How do you tolerate that? How do you tolerate Tevin Anjo cussing the police? How do you tolerate these things? I take serious issue with these things. I might be more tolerant to just an ordinary supporter who not involved in policy making, fighting to defend a party that you cannot defend. And we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 for another opportunity to express ourselves, to punch, and to continue the discussion in the politics. Thank you very much.
People who can understand us.